Hey there, everyone. Welcome back to Utility Sports. We have another NBA trade, of course, just a day after the end of the NBA Finals, a day after the Kevin Durant trade to the Houston Rockets. We are back live once again. Welcome, everyone, to the stream. Really do appreciate you all stopping in. I know it's a later night stream, but we have news to cover, and that is big news as the Boston Celtics have traded once again with the Portland Trailblazers, and Jrue Holiday is in the middle of that discussion once again. Of course, remember, the Blazers actually traded Jrue Holiday to the Celtics on the eve of NBA training camp going into the 23-24 season when the Celtics won an NBA title. Now, after 2 years with the Boston Celtics, Jrue Holiday has returned to Portland and is going to be in a bit of a mentorship role, I would have to assume. There have been heavy reports about Portland looking for a mentor point guard for Scoot Henderson, but I also think there is some good chance of winning involved in this as well. So welcome everyone to the stream. Anfernee Simons is in this trade as well. So a lot to cover. Jrue Holiday is traded from the Boston Celtics to the Portland Trail Blazers. Welcome everyone again to the stream. I want to welcome everybody in. I'm working on setting up something real quick, so making sure the stream is working right and everything. But welcome everyone. 2 minutes in, a lot of people already in here. A lot of people saying how. We're going to talk about the mechanisms of this trade and the reasoning for it as well. I actually do think this is a pretty smart deal, all things considered. Alfred here says Jrue definitely getting bought out by the Blazers. I don't think so, Alfred. I actually think with Portland giving up a couple second-round picks and Anfernee Simons' expiring contract, that Portland was targeting Jrue Holiday. And I'm going to talk about why here in just a minute. DCD Gaming says, I really like this trade for the Celtics. We'll talk about why this makes a lot of sense for them as well. Let's go over to Shams, make sure there's not any more news on this. But according to Shams, Portland makes an aggressive move to reacquire Holiday, who the franchise originally received from Milwaukee in the Damian Lillard trade in 23, later moved to Boston for a deal that included 2 first-round picks to Portland. Simons now joins Boston on an expiring contract. That's an important nugget, but there's also more to this. An extremely active offseason begins for the Celtics with the trade of Jrue Holiday, who played a critical role in Boston's 2024 NBA championship. The Celtics remain engaged in trade talks surrounding multiple key players on the roster. Sources said Kristaps Porzingis could potentially be the next one. We have 300 people watching live. Sam Jonesy here wants to know how big is the Simons contract, and I think that is the next best thing to talk about. So what we're going to actually do here quick is we're going to fly over to Fanspo so that I can show you guys this trade kind of on the fly here and show you what the point of this is for both of these two teams. First of all, for Portland, the idea is to get better, improve their team defense to another level. Of course, they have bookend pieces already in Donovan Clingan and Toumani Camara, 2 of the better young defenders in the entire association. And then they get to add in now Jrue Holiday, someone who, of course, has that reputation built up from years and years and years of being an absolute hound dog defender out on the perimeter. And let's talk about the reasoning for this and specifically what is going on here for Portland. I think one of the questions for them was, how does Anfernee Simons fit this team long-term? Is he actually a core piece of this future? The answer to that seemingly is no. We're going to use this second-round pick in this deal, and this one I don't exactly know which second-round picks are in here, but this is ultimately the deal. And you might be wondering, okay, well, what's the point of this? This right here, this is a lot of money to Boston, and they get out of Jrue Holiday's contract long-term. So this is a deal for Boston that makes a ton of sense, not only in the short term, you're turning an older player into a younger player and getting a bit of second round draft capital, but you're also saving about almost $5 million this year as a second apron team. They're going to be trying to dip out of that. This gives them flexibility to get closer to that number. Of course, the second apron has a lot of long-term ramifications. You look at, freezing draft picks, having your picks move to the back of the first round, and of course, all of the other stipulations when it comes to trades and signings. Boston does not want to be a second apron team in the year that they do not have Jason Tatum healthy. And I think with that, you're going to see some significant salary dumps, which is why we're going to go back over to Twitter now. But this is the key part of the deal right now for Boston, is $4.7 million mark. It's a very significant start to saving money. So let's go back over to Twitter quick, and I'm going to explain exactly what we're seeing here. Welcome everyone to the stream. Almost 600 people watching live already. Make sure to leave a like if you are enjoying the stream today. Let's do regarding Jrue Holiday and Anfernee Simons trade. Celtics save $4.7 million on their cap sheet this year and get out of Holiday's long-term money. This is genius for Boston. Blazers improve going from Simons to Jrue. Defense gets even better, and the team is going to compete this year. This, like, honestly, for Portland, I think they're getting out of a kind of a tricky situation with Simons here too, where I'm not sure if they were going to want to keep him. We have another tweet here from Shams. This is him actually retweeting Bobby Marks. You're looking at the number here specifically. It's a lot of money. Combined $72 million owed to Holiday in 26, 27, and 27, 28. Projected $40 million in tax savings. This is exactly what I was just talking about. Big long-term money investment here for Portland, but they clearly feel that Jrue is the right guy to mentor Scoot while contributing to winning habits. Celtics get massive money savings. So that is the real heart of the deal for Boston. Like the reason that Boston is doing this, they do get worse in this trade. They're doing this because they got to save money. So B-Max, if I'm trying to explain it to you like you're 5, it's a lot of money goes out the door. Celtics save some money, and they get to invest that money later. Not this year, next year when Tatum's back healthy. They will probably look to commit to spending again at some point in time. We'll see what else happens, though. And I think the biggest thing specifically with this, when you look at this situation for Boston still has Porzingis to trade and need to shave. Let me pull up their cap table just to make sure I don't miss-tweet this. Celtics cap table, just I want to make sure that I have this exactly the way that I want it spelled out, just so I'm not misleading at all. If it will load here. Of course, Spot Track is not working. Why would it? They still got to shave a lot of money. Like, you're looking at a significant amount of money that they still have to shave off to get under the apron. Probably around 16 million. Have roughly 16 to 20 million dollars to avoid second apron. We'll see how they get there, because they're going to get there. Will somehow. Like, this team is going to get below the second apron for sure. And that's really what this trade tells me, is that they are looking to save money. And I think for Portland, I'm going to give my trade grades here in a minute too. Let's go back over to Shams though, in the process. But again, the deal here, Boston Celtics have traded Jrue Holiday to the Portland Trailblazers for Anfernee Simons and 2 second-round picks. So the picks actually go from Portland to Boston in this. Brilliant damage here saying Boston fleeced Portland. Let me know your guys' thoughts down in the comment section. Ryan Rasmussen says, I'm so lit right now. Ryan is a big-time Celtics fan. Guy wants to know why Portland did this. It's because Jrue Holiday is a more winning player than Anfernee Simons. Boston is retooling, they're shaving money, and they are looking for the future. I don't think, the one thing I'm going to say here, I don't know if the Celtics are actually committed long-term to Anfernee Simons. My guess is they probably won't be, but they're looking to save money. Why so here says surely Jrue is getting rerouted to another team for a bigger trade. I don't think so. If you look at what Shams Charania here has to say, Portland makes an aggressive move to reacquire Holiday, who the franchise originally received. Based on this, I think that they are planning on keeping Jrue Holiday, and I think that's, there's been rumors about them looking at Chris Paul, looking at veteran point guards to surround and mentor Scoot Henderson. I think that Jrue Holiday is ultimately that guy for them now. They've already had him in the building previously. They kind of know what they're getting with him. He's been nothing but a consummate pro. And I do think he will be staying in Portland. I want to tweet this too, just to clarify for everyone. Portland wanted Jrue Holiday. He will stay in Portland. This is not a salary dump situation for Portland. They wanted him. This is what they wanted. So, Celtics still need to cut around 15 million, and then it's got to be a little bit more actually to fill out their roster still. Handsome. So keep that in mind, which is why I tweeted the 16 to 20 million roughly. DeMike, welcome to the stream. Glad to have you in here. 1,000 people watching live right now. You guys are absolute legends. Cool, genuine Phil here says great trade by Brad Stevens. Kyle says, will Celtics extend Anfernee Simons? My guess is probably not. I don't think that is probably in the cards. As for Simons, I'm not sure he'll stick in Boston definitively. He could. He definitely, he could. I don't know what Brad Stevens is legitimately thinking about his future with the team, but it's a money-saving move. They save a lot of money right now. They save money on Jrue Holiday's contract. They get out of Jrue Holiday's contract, and they get assets in the process of it. So when it comes to our trade grades, let's go back over to Shams just so everyone can once again see the deal. And again, just for everyone to understand, Simons is an unrestricted free agent this upcoming offseason. He's an expiring salary. Celtics get off of all of Holiday's long-term money, save a ton of money in tax money this upcoming year with new ownership. And now they are about $18 million away from getting under the second apron. So there's a lot of money still at play here for Boston to work with. But we are going to go to the trade grades now that I have given some thought to it. Of course, I try to do my best in analyzing these and talking through them. Portland Trail Blazers, I'm going to give a B+. Anfernee for the Boston Celtics, I'm going to give an A+. Actually, no, I'm going to give an A. My rationale here: Celtics save a ton of money in the down year with Tatum's injury. Will make more moves. Roster got worse, but the long-term goal is clear. Get out of the second apron. Welcome, everyone, to the stream. And for the Portland Trailblazers, my thoughts on this specifically for them. The reason I'm giving this an A+, Jrue makes them better today, no doubt. Not sure I love his contract long-term, but hey, if it helps develop the young guys, it's probably worth the price. Which is why I'm not mad about this deal for Portland. So I do think from that perspective, that is what you're looking at. MC Binks, thank you so much for the 2. Sorry, I'm a couple minutes late reacting to it. It says sick trade for the Celtics. I can't believe this deal. Anfernee Simons did have a solid season, not a great one. One of my biggest concerns with him, he's not a good defender at all. One of the probable worst high-minute defenders in the NBA. John here, thank you for the 5. He says, Sheldon, you're a beast. Love getting some leadership for Portland's young guys. Now let's get D. White and Claxton to the Wolves. Man, Derek White and Claxton for Minnesota would be tremendous. We'll see what happens with Boston. I do want to tweet about their cap table as well quick, John. So I think you're making a good point here about some of the Celtics' other available players. But, John, thank you again for the 5. Let's get some W's down in the chat for John. I'm going to try and throw in some confetti here now for him as well. He's an absolute beast. I'm going to throw in my own W, John, in the chat as well. And then also, let's get some W's for MC Binks as well. So appreciate you two for the super chats. Remember, for my trade grades, I think the biggest thing here specifically for Boston is the money saving and the long-term flexibility that they are trying to recoup for themselves this offseason. And then for Portland, this B+, I think giving up Simons, Giving up a couple of seconds is fine. The biggest concern for me is the long-term contract here, and how much money is still owed to Jrue Holiday. And I think that is one of the problems I have with this deal. But I don't hate it completely. So I think that's the my biggest thoughts overall for these two teams. I'm trying to check the news here to make sure I'm not missing anything. Zach here says in the playoffs, it gives the other team someone to put into actions, which is huge. Well, you're right. That's Simons is the weak link. I'm not even sure though, Zach, if he's going to be on the team going into next, the postseason. Let's be honest. Mott says I love Jrue, but Boston won. I do think Boston did a little bit better, and I think mostly the reason for that is the long-term contract that Jrue Holiday has. But that's the reality. Lloyd says Jrue will start over Scoot. I mean, there's a good chance of that. There's a very good chance. John here says, where do you see Porzingis going? That's what I want to talk about next year, and specifically the Celtics payroll. So we're going to go ahead, tweet that out now. I just want to make sure that everyone is on the same page. So Celtics big remaining tradable contracts. So assuming no Jason Tatum, right? Jaylen Brown makes $53.142 million. Then Kristaps Porzingis makes $30.732 million. Derek White makes $20.071 million. 20.071. There we go. I'm going to say Porzingis, likely the odd man out, but you never know for sure. We'll see what happens, but the Celtics still have a lot of salary to move, and one of these three guys will probably definitely get moved. Now, my guess is it is going to be Kristaps Porzingis and not Derek White and not Jaylen Brown, but we will see what happens. 1,200 people watching live. Appreciate everyone for hopping in. Today, the Celtics still have other big contracts to trade away. If you guys aren't already, make sure to go follow over on Twitter. We are just 8 followers away from 4,500 followers over there. So we are very, very close. Let's go back over to Shams quick, though. And again, just to recap, the Boston Celtics have traded Jrue Holiday to the Portland Trailblazers for Anfernee Simons and 2 second-round picks. So the Celtics get a couple of assets in this deal as well. Not huge ones, presumably. We'll see what picks they actually are. Love seeing all the W's flying in the chat. Zach says Celtics signing Jrue to that deal in the first place was very bad. This is what you call an owner who had a foot out the door already. They were planning on selling the team and said, screw it, we'll give him the contract. It's not going to be our problem to deal with. And that's pretty much exactly what's happened here. He is older, and that's the thing is you got a lot of money committed to an older player, but I do think they are just valuing that veteran leadership. Zach, thank you for the 2. Says, who's next, KP or Hauser? So Hauser does make a decent chunk of change. Let me just double check his contract just so I don't misquote it here. I believe it's around $10 million annually. If it will load for me, Spot Track is not working, so let me just go back to Celtics cap table, and then I can go over to Basketball Reference, who has it as well. And Hauser, $10.044 million. I should have just trusted myself. I knew exactly what it was. 10 million, just a hair more. I do think KP is the next to go. I mean, Hauser theoretically could be, but I do think at some point this offseason still we will see Porzingis be traded. Tom, do I think Al Horford will resign? No, I do not. I just don't think that makes a lot of sense for Boston given their pursuit of saving money at this point and given Horford's age. SP says Jaylen Brown is about to have a Scottie Pippen 93-94 season. Tatum's injury equals Jordan's retirement. We'll see. I mean, I'm not sure if I see the Celtics winning as many games as those Bulls teams did without Tatum this year and stripping it down a little bit, getting off of Jrue, getting off of Porzingis. We'll see. I think this is going to be actually a little bit of a down year for Boston. Probably not to a severe extent, but I'm not sure they're going to have the team success those Bulls teams still had. I think those Bulls teams a little bit underrated when it comes to how good they were without MJ. Testament to how good that team was built. Real life here says Robbery at its best. Simon's the future. That boy is good. I mean, he's just not a huge winning player, though, if I'm being completely honest with you. That's one of my biggest concerns. You're just looking at a guy who's one of the worst defenders on a high minute basis in the NBA. So I'm not even sure he's going to stay in Boston, to be completely honest with you. Don't have any reporting on that yet at this point in time, which we're obviously going to try and keep up with and watch for. Thank you to Shumpman for the follow. Thank you to DC over there. Carson, thank you for the follow, as well as Ethan and Robert as well. Let's go back over to Sham, see if there's any updates. Nothing yet. If there's any option for Boston to reroute Anfernee Simons at some point, we'll see what happens. Cool Genuine Phil here says, have a feeling that Horford will come back. I mean, he definitely could. Boston obviously loves Horford, but it's going to come down to the money. And I do think there will be a market for Horford this offseason. I do think the Lakers would love to pull Al Horford away. They need more big bodies in their front court. 49er Media, welcome to the stream. Jacob here says they couldn't get more for Anfernee. I mean, Anfernee wasn't worth more. This is an important thing here for everyone to understand. This isn't Boston targeting Anfernee Simons. This is Portland targeting Jrue Holiday. It's like how Phoenix ended up getting Jalen Green and Dillon Brooks. They weren't specifically targeting those guys in the Kevin Durant trade. They just got them for Kevin Durant. That's what happened here. Boston probably doesn't want Anfernee Simons big time long term. Are they interested in maybe exploring what his future could look like there and seeing how things play out? Maybe. But this isn't Boston saying we want Anfernee Simons. This is Portland saying we want Jrue Holiday. And I think that's an important thing to understand about this. This trade is not a Anfernee Simons trade in the way that the GMs are working here. This is a Jrue Holiday trade. And I think that's an important thing to understand here. The Blazers wanted Jrue. They wanted Jrue Holiday. He's going to stay there. This is more so about Jrue Holiday than it is Anfernee Simons. D-Dot's Finest says live is booming. You guys heard him. Everyone smash that like button now. Let's see how we are doing. You guys saw the thumbnail as well. Jrue Holiday in the thumbnail. It's a Jrue Holiday trade, like I have said. Over 120 likes already. We can do way better than that. We have 1,300 people watching live. Everyone smash that like button. Luke says, have you peeped the Daniel Gafford contract flexibility? To be honest with you, I saw that it was 3 for 54, which I think is very good for the Mavericks. I haven't paid too close of attention on it. I was kind of planning on digging into it a little bit tomorrow. Of course, this kind of came up tonight. So now I look a little silly not having all of the details of that memorized quite yet. But that extension with Dallas is I think is quite good. So I like that for the Mavericks. Regulator says, does the Jrue trade affect who Blazers take at 11? This is a great question here. I'm going to tweet about this. Great question from Regulator in the live chat. I want to address this. Does the Jrue trade affect who Portland drafts at 11? In my opinion, no, it doesn't. And the reason for that, I already thought that the Blazers were going to target a front court player to begin with. We're going to target a front court piece at 11. Jrue is a good veteran backcourt addition for short term. I already think that I just think all things considered here to this question, Regulator. I already think Portland was planning on going front court. I think you're looking Carter Bryant, Noah Senge, Derek Queen, that kind of realm of player, that kind of discussion point. I just haven't really thought they're going to go point guard. I haven't thought they're going to go guard in general. I believe the only time I've really mocked a guard for Portland this year was Yegor Demon, who I view as more of a wing anyway at 6'9". So I just don't think Portland's going to be in the market for a point guard overwhelmingly. And with that in mind, I don't think this trade's going to actually have any impact on that. But I think they viewed this as an opportunity to improve their team while simultaneously getting a veteran to hopefully help usher in further development for Scoot and some defensive improvement. Trevor, thank you for the comment here. He says Holiday is old at this point. I'm worried this could blow up in Portland's face. His contract could get bad because of his age. I definitely think this is the concern. This is why, for my trade grade specifically, shout out to everyone, by the way, 4,500 followers now. I'm going to give some shout outs here in just a second for everyone who just followed. But this is why for my trade grades here, like Portland didn't give up that much, but they, in my opinion, do have some risk, which is why I give them a B plus here. Sanic here says, hey, Sheldon, does it make sense for Russell Westbrook to sign back with the Rockets? He will stay with the Denver Nuggets this offseason, Sanic. Thank you for your question. Oxy here says, I'm a Blazer fan, and I really want to know what your thoughts are of Jrue and Tamani together now. I mean, they've got some of the best point of attack defenders in the world. That's the one thing, too. Like, their defense is going to be really darn good. Like, this is like that trio defensively is going to be a lot of fun. So I really like that for them. Ash, thank you for the follow. Shout out to Scotty, thank you. Shout out to JB, appreciate you for the follow. Angelo, thank you. And then back over to Shumpman. But again, I think just for this whole situation in general, Portland's defense got way better today. Their team got, I think, pretty significantly better going into this next season. Now, did they get better to a point where they're going to be a no-brainer playoff team in the West and way better than everybody else? No. But I don't think this was really a heavy cost. It was an expiring Anfernee Simons who honestly wasn't that valuable of a player. Even anytime I mocked him to Orlando, like I would hesitate to even include pick 16 in that. I would preemptively do it. But for Orlando, they were never giving up future draft picks in any of those mock trades, all of that stuff. Of course, the Desmond Bane trade happened and changed everything with that too. But I think Portland defensively is going to be really good now. And they didn't give up that much to get there. Now, the issue long-term still is the cap and the money committed to not only Jrue Holiday, but you also still have Jeremy Grant's contract on the books long-term. But Boston saves a lot of money. Jared here says Boston or Blazers love taking the Celtics leftovers. I mean, kind of, I guess, if you want to look at it that way. They, I think, did pretty well. I don't think Anfernee Simons is worth more than Jrue Holiday. I really don't. Dylan said, who else from the Celtics do you see getting moved? Kristaps Porzingis. I think Porzingis will get moved. Like Drake's saying here, I think Porzingis is the next to go. Sorry, guys, I am a little tired. Late night stream, wasn't expecting it. I got you mad, huh? Says, do you think Simons get flipped again on an expiring deal? Definitely think this is possible. I don't believe they're going to be able to aggregate him with anyone. We'll see if Thybulle's there, Isaiah. I'm not sure if Thybulle's going to be on that team. He could be. I mean, if he's actually there and healthy, then it'll be fun. But I'm not sure if he's going to be on the roster definitively or not. Oxy here says, that's what I was thinking. You got one of the best defensive guards, one of the best defensive wings, and who knows where Klingon's potential can go, but I like him a lot right now. Yeah, he's one of the best rim protectors already in the league. His block rate was through the roof this year, and I think he's just going to get better and better. So Daniel says, happy Monday. Hey, everyone. Yeah, happy Monday to everybody. It's now Tuesday, my time. I'm living on that East Coast time, so it's now after midnight, just one day away from my birthday now, technically. My birthday's on draft night this year, so I'm over the moon excited for that. Kyle says, where could Anfernee Simons get rerouted? There's a few teams that could make some sense. Charlotte, Brooklyn, those continue to be teams that I bring up. Milwaukee would be an interesting reroute option for Anfernee Simons, something maybe around Kyle Kuzma's contract. Which would save Boston some more money in the short term as well, which would be interesting. So Stefan here says, I mean, I wouldn't say that. He definitely did look regressed. I wouldn't say he sucked on defense, but I do think he regressed a bit. But I don't know. I still think he's a very good defender, and for what Portland's going to use him for, which is like 26 minutes a game, it'll work just fine. Tom wants to know if the Blazers will look to move off of some contracts, Jeremy or Ayton. They could theoretically use pick 11 with Jeremy Grant's contract, maybe pick 11 with Ayton's contract to adjust. But I'm not definitively certain on that at this point, and I don't want to tell you, oh yes, they for sure will. They could. I'm just not certain. But the nice thing is, with how I cover the league and how much time I spend into looking at cap tables and picturing possibilities, when something happens, I'm able to wrap my head around it pretty quickly. So that's at least a positive. Cassio here says, so weird for Boston. Again, it's all about saving money. Just to go back here, they save a lot of money, and they are going to be in the process of getting out of the second apron. So, and I think Porzingis will probably be the answer to that. Tony here says Porzingis to the Warriors would be good. One of the issues with that is the Warriors don't have big contracts to trade away to get him ultimately. So unless it was a Kuminga sign and trade, I just don't really see a way that Golden State's going to be able to get Porzingis, unfortunately for them. Michelle here says, where do you think DeMar DeRozan ends up? I think a sleeper team for him is the Denver Nuggets. Flagster here says, hear me out, Raptors get Malik Monk and Devin Carter and 1 first and 2 seconds for RJ Barrett and pick 9. I would like that a lot for Sacramento, but I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think the Raptors should be giving up pick 9 with RJ Barrett in a deal like that. So Cadillac says, seems fine for Portland. Get a leader back to help your young guards. Use the assets from the initial Jrue trade to the Celtics to get Denny. I mean, yeah, for the most part, like you've been able to turn Jrue Holiday. Well, you actually basically turned Anfernee Simons into 2 years later Jrue Holiday and Denny Avdia. So, I mean, part of that's Damian Lillard too, right? You turned Damian Lillard into that a little bit, but I think things have worked out really well for the Portland Trailblazers. So. Dork here says Boston just won another chip with this trade. I mean, they saved themselves a lot of money. That's what they for sure did. Colby Kane says, I don't know why. I thought the Mavs had a good chance for Simons. They still could, but I don't think that's the type of player Dallas should be targeting anyway. I think Dallas will be more likely in on Lonzo Ball or Mike Conley, that kind of player at this point. Jordan Walsh for MVP says, I hope that Jrue goes to Dallas to back up Kyrie Irving. Jrue's going to be staying in Portland. The Blazers want Jrue Holiday. I think, again, that's one of the most important things that I want people to understand here. Portland wants Jrue Holiday. That's the reason that they're making this trade. They're not trading Anfernee Simons and picks for fun. They want Jrue Holiday. So, C-Mead here says, could you see Kristaps to the Hawks as a possibility? Not really, to be honest with you. Again, salary is just kind of a big reason why. I don't think the Hawks have a real clean mechanism to get to the number for Porzingis. And I think the Hawks are more likely to draft a young one in the first round this year with either 13 or 22, or potentially in a move up for somebody like Kamen Maluach, who seems to be their favorite target. Jan says, what are your thoughts on Toronto and what we should do? Also, what are your thoughts on Anfernee Simons' reroute to Raptors trade? The money's going to be difficult there again, too, because Boston's not going to want to take in bigger salaries. So an RJ Barrett trade's a little tricky. A trade for Emmanuel Quickly is basically off the table there for Boston. They're not going to do any of that. And for Toronto in general, I think they should just stick at pick 9 and draft someone who's pretty good at basketball. That's probably their best outcome this offseason. We'll see what they actually do. They have a lot of money committed. Gio here says it could be Porzingis for Pirtle with Raptors eating $10 million, giving Raptors 2025 second pick and 2026 first round pick. I don't think I'm not sure if Boston's going to do that. The more likely thing is you're giving the Raptors would be giving the Celtics, or the Celtics would be giving the Raptors to eat money, probably like pick 28. So I wouldn't think the future draft picks are going to be part of that. CL Oracle says, so glad my son's moved on from KD. Praying Beal gets traded somehow. I think if we can nail the draft and make some decent additions in the offseason, we'll be decent this year in our retool year. I think Phoenix, this is the thing. They turned, for a team that's so thin and old and honestly bad, they were able to turn a soon-to-be 37-year-old player who didn't want to be there on an expiring contract into 3 long-term pieces. Now, each of them come with some of their flaws. Jalen Green is not an elite player. Dylan Brooks has his own litany of issues, but he's still in his 20s. Jalen Green's in his early 20s yet. And you get pick number 10, which is really the blue chip asset in that trade, because if you hit on it, you take someone like Derek Queen, who I really like, or if somehow Kamen Maluach falls to you, or whatever you end up using that pick for, it opens up more pathways and avenues to long-term success. And I think for Phoenix, if you're a Suns fan, you should be over the moon excited, because this is the beginning of a new iteration of Suns basketball. And the last 2 years have been utterly miserable, like I kind of predicted they would be when the Beal trade went down the first time. And this is, again, tonight's an example of how trading for big money is kind of risky long-term. That is what Portland signed up for. Now, it's not to the extent of what Jrue's is, for sure, but I mean, yeah, this reporting, by the way. So this happened because this guy just reports what everyone's already been saying. I mean, we've been knowing this. Thank you, everyone, for watching. 1,300 people watching live. Ovanos wants to know what the Warriors will do. I think signing and trading Kuminga will be the move. Carlos here says dumb move for Portland. I mean, they got better. The Blazers are better now than they were with Anfernee Simons. So Holiday's a better player. So Josh says, do you see Brooklyn trading Cam for the 11th pick? I mean, that's a possibility, right? Like, you could look at something around Jeremy Grant and pick 11 for like Cam Johnson and pick 27 or something like that, or pick 26, one of those two picks. And maybe even that second rounder at 36 that the Nets have. Something like in that ballpark is semi-realistic and possible. A little bit more money would have to probably be in that, but I mean, not necessarily if Brooklyn renounces certain cap hold. So it's an interesting definite trade to keep our eyes on for sure. It's funny because all offseason I've kind of talked about Portland as this kind of under the radar buy team, and here we are now, and they are operating kind of like how I thought they might. Throughout the early stages of this offseason, I have talked about Portland being a fun, sneaky buy team. They strike here tonight with Jrue and still have pick 11 in Jeremy Grant or DeAndre Ayton's contract to work with if they aren't done yet. We'll see what that turns into. Again, Cam Johnson is a possibility there, perhaps. We'll see where they ultimately go. Sanic says, my son's low-key better get Brooke Lopez. Brooke Lopez is not who you want. Giovanni says, come on, Maluach is not dropping to 10. I agree. Check out my mock drafts. VL Blaze here says, hey, bro, question. Who do you think Miami trades for? I ultimately don't think Miami's going to trade for somebody. Maybe Malik Monk. That is a possibility. But I think they're more likely going to draft someone at number 20. Immune Supreme, thank you for the 2. He says possible targets for the Clippers. Anfernee Simons, one of them. With the Clippers' new defensive identity, I do not think that they will target Anfernee Simons. Thank you for the 2, though. I really appreciate you. And I think bringing up the Clippers here is a great question, because their offense definitely needs a little bit more liveliness, a little bit more juice, especially when James Harden's out of the game. Like, they just don't have an offensive system that is effective for them when he's out. And it really stems from who's handling the basketball and how much time Kawhi Leonard misses, and just kind of that instability in their backup unit. And as great of a player Norm Powell is, most of his success comes off the basketball in off-ball action, catching and shooting the ball, and playing off the catch. So I do think the Clippers need another creator. I just don't think Simons will be the guy that they target ultimately. B-Ball Mute Man, thank you for the 2. Says, starting the early pizza fund for Wednesday now. Appreciate you, B-Ball Mute Man. Let's get some W's in the chat for BB Mute Man, Zach, and Immune. Thank you all so much. I really do appreciate you guys. I threw in the W's. I'm going to throw in some confetti here too. Thank you for the 2. I appreciate you guys a ton. Why so serious? Says my Spurs need size and shooting. Do you see them getting involved with Porzingis? I ultimately do not see them getting involved with Kristaps, but I do think that they will be looking for bigger forwards if they make a trade. Jack here says Simons in Boston is not a natural fit in my eyes. I don't think so either. But yeah, like kind of like what Czilla says, this is actually a pretty good comparison. This is like a stopgap for Anfernee Simons. I don't think he'll be staying in Boston for long. Maybe at the start of the year, he is still a Celtic. Thank you, NATO, for the follow. Thank you, Morgan RH. Thank you, George, as well as Noah. And LeBron Lucas Stan, thank you, as well as Chevy. Appreciate you all so much for following over there. Over 4,500 followers now. But I do think this is kind of a stopgap now for Simons, whether he's traded again this offseason or in the middle of the year, or maybe just goes into free agency next year. Kush here says, I'm just okay. I was not expecting that. Mel says, what point guard does Indy target to replace Halliburton? I mean, I'm not sure if they're going to make a big aggressive move to replace Halliburton. I think the more likely situation is they just kind of patiently wait him coming back healthy. Volcano says, Sheldon, if I'm the Blazers, I'm going all defense and drafting Carter Bryant. Definitely still a possibility, right? I think for Portland, if they do stick at 11, which is a very real likelihood, going someone like Noah Senge, going someone like Carter Bryant, defensive-minded, roamy, rangy, great athletes. You really can't go wrong for what Portland already has in their room and being able to kind of mimic some of what Oklahoma City has in terms of the athleticism, length, defensive acumen. It's a copycat league. I think Portland's probably looking pretty closely at OKC, their youth, their athleticism, their defensive talent, and saying, why can't that be us? Now, it's not easy to get there, but I think Portland is trying to take strides in that direction at this point. Saul Goodman says, hey, Sheldon, commented on your video about your new intro. It's fire. Thanks, Saul Goodman. Appreciate you a ton. For those who don't know, up on the channel, what we've got recently, we got my NBA draft big board, mock drafts, breakdowns. Tomorrow I've got a fun video coming out. So if you're not subscribed already, make sure to be. And then check out some of those videos, whether it's tonight after the live stream or tomorrow. Just make sure to check it out. This is a little bit of an early hint, by the way. No one else knows this right now. You guys are going to be the first 1,000 people to know. I will be going live on draft day all day long. And it's my birthday, so I hope you're there. I hope you come celebrate with me. And I hope you also get everything you want for the draft, whether it comes to manifesting your favorite prospect to your favorite team or a big trade. Whatever you want your team to do, I hope it happens for you because be a fun draft this year. I'm super excited for it. Pretty good birthday present for me as a Mavericks fan to get Cooper Flagg. So I'm not complaining at this point. Franchise says, do you see the Suns trading Jalen Green and pick 10 for Claxton plus 26 and 27? The Suns could definitely consider that, but as of right now, it sounds like Jalen Green will be staying in Phoenix, but maybe something around Bradley Beal's contract would be a possibility there if Brooklyn's willing to play ball there, and if Beal wants to waive his no trade clause. Carter here, thank you for bringing this up. So right now, too, one thing about the NBA Finals with Tyrese Halliburton in a big stage, big moment, everyone's overreacting to Achilles injuries, saying, oh, we got to shorten the season. The data doesn't suggest that. You know, if you want to shorten the season to 72 games, that's how many games Tatum played this year. Damian Lillard played 58 regular season games. Halliburton played 73 regular season games. None of the guys that tore their Achilles tore them after playing 82 regular season games. You look at James Wiseman, he tore his Achilles in the first 5 minutes of his season. Okay, Achilles tears are not just directly correlative with how many regular season games you played. It's not even directly correlative with how many minutes you played. Like, it's just pretty ridiculous that that's a take. And with 1,000 people watching, I wanted to explain that because it's a terrible take over on social media right now. And it's honestly a direct overreaction to Halliburton tearing his Achilles while playing through a calf strain, which everyone seems to forget he was playing injured. Key Kings here says, hey, Utility, hope you're doing well. Thoughts on a DeRozan for Jaquez, Robinson in pick 20 or Wiggins in pick 20? I do think the Wiggins in pick 20 would be the more likely outcome here. Miami's not going to include Jaquez and Robinson and pick 20 for a deal. I don't think Hawkes would be in a trade for DeRozan. I think Wiggins and 20 is the more likely outcome. Dork here says Avdia to the Lakers. Just not going to happen. Portland really likes Avdia. PJ wants to know if the Magic would take Bradley Beal. No, they would not. They have a lot of money committed already to their roster. Oracle here says I heard a Jrue Holiday for Beal type of flip was a possibility, and that only 2 or 3 teams are semi-interested in Beal. So now I'm scared we just lost a potential option. Yeah, you probably did, to be honest, with Boston trading. You know, I wonder. I just thought of something. I'm not going to say it because I need to think about it for a minute. I did think of something that would be a possibility between Phoenix and Boston, but I don't know. I just need to sit and think on it for a little bit. Vladislav here says Carter Bryant gives me Tatum vibes. Definitely not nearly as skilled, but definitely very similar physical body type. Like you look at the broad shoulders, the frame, like there is a lot of similarities there for sure. Cadillac says, hype, got to hop in after work. Appreciate you guys. Yeah, so I will be live. Glad that everyone's going to be in here. Chung here says, such a stupid trade, man. Firmly believe that ownership group was trying to up the sale value. Are you I mean, I guess I don't understand. Are you talking about Portland or Boston? Because I think this is a good trade for Boston. Raising Three Boys says Celtics should trade Porzingis and White to the Nets for 26 and 27. I don't think that Boston would do that. I don't think that they're going to want to give up Derek White. You know, I think that's everyone's like dream outcome for their team is everyone wants Derek White this offseason. I don't think he's going to be available, to be honest with you. Carter here says, I'm hoping for the Oklahoma boy, Jeremiah Fears. That kid can ball. I like a lot of his talent. I think if he can put some stuff together, he could be very good. Shock Universe says, love the trade as a Celtics fan. Next is Porzingis. I do think he will get moved very, very quickly here this offseason. Andres says, hey, Utility, do you think the Pistons and Clippers can be players for Kristaps Porzingis? You know what's funny? I think back to the Clippers' third-team involvement in the reported Porzingis trade with the Celtics and Wizards a few years ago, and I always kind of sit and think, why didn't the Clippers just want Porzingis? I think he would be really solid there for them, but they just haven't done it. And I'm not sure if they're going to do that. Ben RG here says, let's go. Shout out to you. Wyco says, Warriors news, nothing definitive yet at this point of the offseason, but definitely they'll have news, whether it's something with Kuminga or not. We'll see. Alfred says, Tatum and Carter Bryant play way different. Yeah, they're not the same player, but like it's just like I think the physical body type. Like if you look at how Tatum looks physically and you compare that to Carter Bryant's shoulder width and the kind of frame and muscular definition, some of that stuff I think is very similar, which is what I was trying to get at. Coffee and Ball says Beal to Bucks would make some sense. Identical contract to Lillard. I don't think I don't know if Milwaukee's going to be doing that, to be honest with you. If there's more picks, but then again, it's like, why would Phoenix do that? Dame has a torn Achilles and wouldn't save money, so it doesn't really make sense. Stephen here says it's an excellent trade for both teams and why you make trades. Brian says, would Cedric Howard have been a first rounder last year? A few games he played were against very weak comp, bad stats versus Iowa. I mean, probably. It's not like he grew like 4 inches this year. There's a reason he got, a job at Washington State through the transfer portal last year. So he's really good. I think people like, I get it. He's having a late rise, but he also was hurt. So it's like, it's hard to hold a 6-game sample size against him when he just missed time with injury. It's not like he sat out randomly or, just played bad. Like Yegor Demon played terrible against good teams, and he's going to get drafted higher than Cedric Howard this year. So, I don't know. People are taking this way too literal. The guy was just making a physical comparison, I'm sure. He's not saying that Carter Bryant's the next Jason Tatum. Landon Moore says, do you think the Clippers will make some moves this year? Yes, they'll definitely do something this offseason. They have some salaries to work with. They definitely can make some moves. So Just to recap for everyone, the Celtics save a lot of money with this Jrue Holiday trade. Let's go back over to Shams and just recap the trade one more time. I've been live for almost an hour already, which is crazy. The time goes by so fast when I'm streaming. I have not thought I've been live for even close to an hour, but yet here we are. Just for everyone who maybe missed it, if you're just stopping in now and want to know what's going on, the Boston Celtics have traded Jrue Holiday to the Portland Trailblazers for Anfernee Simons and 2 second-round picks. What this tells me, the fact that Portland gave up second-round picks in this and an expiring contract, tells me a lot of stuff. First of all, Portland wanted Jrue Holiday. Very clearly, Portland, whether they approached Boston or not, had significant interest in landing Jrue Holiday to the point where they were willing to part with Anfernee Simons, who has been a good late first-round pick development story for them, and 2 second-round picks. This also gives Portland some, not flexibility, but it gives Portland kind of security long term without having to deal with an Anfernee Simons extension number, trying to go through the season navigating that dilemma. They have kind of clarity. They've got Jrue Holiday under contract moving forward. Now that contract's very big. It's going to be spendy long term. Do I love that for them? No, which is why I gave them a B plus, even though I think they got better today. I do think long term there are going to be some negative fallouts from this because of how expensive especially the tandem of Jrue and Jeremy Grant are together and the value of them at their current ages and quality of their play. But I do think the actual trade price of Anfernee Simons and 2 second-round picks is not much, and I think is a good trade for Portland from that perspective. The Celtics save a lot of money. I like that for them. They get a couple of second-round assets, which helps too. So that's why they got an A. Shock here says, could the Celtics get RJ Barrett? Maybe something around Porzingis, but I don't think Portland or Toronto's going to have the stomach for that. So Jeremy here says Celtics should save about $60 million between the taxes and salary this upcoming season. Not bad. Exactly. And they're going to shave some more salary too when they trade Porzingis, if they're able to shave off another, let's say they don't trade all of his salary, right? Like they take in some money back, but let's say they take in $18 million back for his $30 million. You're saving another 45, 50-ish million dollars at minimum, probably closer to like 70, 80, honestly, with the tax savings. So like you're doing really great. Flex Tax, welcome to the stream, says utility. What kind of moves do you think the Pistons make in free agency? I think the biggest thing is keeping Dennis Schroeder, keeping Malik Beasley. Those two guys are going to be priorities for Trajan Langdon there and the Pistons this offseason. Bryce here says Thunder not worried about Carter Bryant. I don't think anyone's really worried about a rookie. Vlad here says, happy early birthday. Which prospect that is projected in the later rounds or later part of the draft do you see breaking out and becoming a star? Maybe Walter Clayton Jr. I really like Adu Thero. For those curious, I will let's go back over to the profile quick. I have a video out on my big board. This is my big board this year. It has projected ceilings, floors, numerical rankings. The gaps indicate where I think there are tiered gaps on my actual board. You see there's a gap between 5 and 6. There's a gap between 12 and 13. There's a gap between 22 and 23, a gap between 24, 25. My board is, in my opinion, the most visually appealing big board you can find. I have a 2.5-hour video breaking it down. I talk about every single prospect you see pictured here on this board, all 60 guys that I have on this list, explaining my rationale, things I really like, things I dislike about each prospect, concerns I have, and the strengths and weaknesses components of all of their games. So if you want significant NBA draft content, if you want to know as much as you can before draft night, just at this point, less than 48 hours away, go check out that big board. It's going to explain everything you need to know about the top 60 prospects in the class from my perspective. Now, there are other honorable mentions that aren't in that video, like a Chucky Hepburn, for example, and a few others. But it's going to give you a good overall feel and indication of who's in this class, what you need to know about the draft and everything. So you're going to have a good feel on who I really like. Tomorrow, there's also a video coming out that breaks that down a bit more. Big J, welcome to the stream. Glad to have you in here again, my man. Bryce here says, Cedric is him. I like that. Says Clippers are trading Powell. Not sure. CL Oracle says this Portland deal doesn't make any sense. Weirdos screwing up my deal off ramps. I mean, it makes sense for Portland given two things. This is why the Blazers did this. They're looking for veteran leadership and mentorship into their backcourt. Jrue Holiday definitely gives that to them. He's been a consummate professional and a winner. And then at the second part of this, for Portland, who's already built a pretty good young team defense, they just got a lot better defensively. They traded their worst defender for one of their better defenders now in Jrue Holiday. So they went from really bad to really great in the backcourt defensively, just like that. So I do think that's a great step in the right direction. Soul Train here says, I feel like Simons can pair well with White. I mean, maybe. Like, the one thing, Simons shoots a lot of pull-up threes, and I think, Joe Mazzulla likes that. So, I don't know what's going to happen with Simons, to be completely honest with you. I wish I could be like, oh, well, he's going to get sent here, or the Boston's going to keep him and extend it. I don't think Boston's going to extend him. I'm not sure they're going to trade him, but I think everything kind of in between's on the table right now. I think they could trade him. If a deal comes up that makes sense and saves them more money, they could reroute him somewhere. We'll see what happens. But Volcano here says Chaz Lanier gives me Keon Ellis vibes. I mean, Lanier's best thing. So you're a Tennessee fan too, obviously, but Lanier is a really good movement shooter. I just wish he shot 2-pointers better. That's like one of the big differentiations for me between him and Kobe Brea. Lanier's just a bit more turnover prone and also just a significantly worse finisher inside the arc than Brea, which if Lanier was slightly better in both of those areas, he would have been much higher on my board. But I still felt like I had him at a pretty good spot with a legitimate second-round grade on him in this draft class. Gabrielle here says you can get a vet that doesn't cost $30 million a year. That's true, but they're also not going to be a multi-team all-defense member and a two-time champion. So you can get a vet, but that vet might be a significantly worse vet who doesn't contribute to your actual roster right now. Jrue Holiday is going to play 25 minutes a game for them at least, and has some deep playoff runs and all defense caliber play. Rachel says, I like the draft board. Sheldon visualizes how the draft really flattens out after the top 6. Yeah, that's the other thing too, is it's kind of fun. Like, obviously when I'm working on them up close and personal, thinking about, okay, well, this is where this bar needs to be. This is how I want to craft it. And then I kind of you take that step back, look at it, and you're like, oh, that's kind of cool how it looks. And I really like it. So appreciate that, Rachel. And I hope everyone enjoys it as much as you. Max, thank you for the two. Sorry, I'm a couple minutes late to seeing it. I'm trying my best here to keep up with live chat and then also seeing all the super chats. Do Celtics trade up in draft for a big? So this is a great question from Max. I will ultimately have my final mock draft. This is another little bit of secret information coming out on Wednesday morning. I had a mock draft come out today on Monday. I'm going to have my final mock with trades. Again, a little bit of secret information for you guys watching the stream right now. I will have my final mock in there. I do think Boston's in a position where they could look to trade their pick. We'll see what they ultimately do. But a big man is going to be at the top of the totem pole for that team for sure. In my mock draft today, I'll just spoil it for you. I had them select Maxime Reynaud out of Stanford, who is a mobile 7-footer. Generational Hater says, which ring chasing vets could you see Houston getting after the KD trade? Possibly an upgrade on the point guard spot. I don't know if you're going to get an upgrade over Fred VanVleet. I think VanVleet's going to stay there in Houston. And I think you're kind of hoping for some shooter to want to come to Houston, like a Tim Hardaway Jr. maybe. That's kind of a vet that I could see Houston looking at and considering. So Jake wants to know what team I cheer for. I cheer for all 30 teams. Now, I am a Dallas Mavericks fan. I grew up a diehard Mavs fan. But the more and more I cover the NBA, and now at this point, many years of coverage of the NBA, I just love good basketball. I like it when teams make smart moves. I like watching young players. I like watching good teams. I had a lot of fun watching Indiana. Oklahoma City's a blast to watch. I just cheer for a little bit of everybody. Especially when, for me, like I get so invested in the draft prospects too that wherever they end up going, I want to see them succeed, even if it's a guy who I had lower on my board, higher on my board, whatever. I just end up cheering for everybody. I love the NBA. I love basketball. It's literally my entire life. If I'm doing something, it's probably related to basketball. So I'm a diehard. Always will be. Fun little. You know what? I kind of feel like I'm giving up all the little spoilers right now, but you guys kind of deserve it. You're hanging out with me here. It's almost 1 a.m. Eastern time. I've got about 900 people watching live. We're going to give another little spoiler here just for everybody. I have merch coming out. And so here's the thing with merch. Like, I didn't want to just make it be like, oh, here's, utility sports logo, just buy this. I wanted to create some interesting graphic designs for shirts, and I wanted to price them affordably so that they weren't ridiculous. So right now I have them set up in a way that they are not that expensive, and they are, I think, pretty cool looking. And I've designed these all myself. So I'm talking like hoodies for less than $30, which I think is very reasonable. So this is like brand new. I just ordered my samples today. So you guys are getting a little bit of a sneak peek here. I just sent the link in the chat if you guys want to check them out. I have a ball and chain hoodie, which I think is pretty cool. And again, these all come with multiple different customizable colors. So you can check out different colors, see which one you want to get. Like, comes with a wide variety of sizes. You can look at any of them you want, but I thought ball and chain was kind of a funny name for that one. I've got a magnet ball one, which I think is fairly cool. Magnet pulling the basketball through the hoop. A splash one. I've got is this the dagger? I love that one. I've got the kind of cosmic hoops little design that I came up with here. This honestly describes my life pretty well. Like, basketball is central in my life. It's like literally the middle of the universe for me. Dropping dimes. This is probably my favorite one. I ordered this sweatshirt today for myself. I think this one's sweet. I'm not gonna lie. Like, this was my favorite one that I came up with. And I've got them in crew necks as well. And then I've also got a hoops head. So this is obviously inspired after me, that one in the middle there. Got them in sweaters, sweatshirts. I've got a generic utility sports tee, which is the cheapest one. I was able to put this on a cheaper t-shirt just to make it even more affordable. But I set these as pretty much as affordable as they can be. I am turning almost like no profit on these. And the whole point of it is for them to be fun, cool designs for you guys to have. And I wanted to create stuff that I thought looked cool and good. So I did send that into the chat. So if you guys want to check them out, definitely would appreciate that. It's Utility Sports Shop, fourthwall.com. So right there is the link for that. So definitely check it out. But these are, again, this is a secret. Don't go spoiling it yet. I'm going to probably have a video talking about these so that everyone can know. At some point on YouTube, it should show like a little shop icon and button, and you should be able to find them directly there on the channel. But a little bit of insight and a little bit of information for you guys for being in the stream early and staying late and just being awesome. So appreciate you guys a ton. Chauncey here says, Trailblazers fan here, give me your take on the Jrue trade, please. Yes, for those just stopping in, we will go back over to the Jrue trade. I do think the Blazers are better today, first of all, Chauncey. So, and one of the big reasons why I am really excited about this defensive trio, Jrue, Kamara, and Klingon together, is very, very fun. So I think Portland got a lot better today. I actually do really believe that. But I do think that there are some concerns that I have here from the financial standpoint. Jrue Holiday has quite a bit of money left on his contract. I don't love that for Portland and their long-term flexibility, which is why for Boston I gave them an A, because I think getting out of Holiday's money, getting a couple second-round picks, and moving closer to getting out of the second apron this year with Tatum hurt is really good for them. But for the Blazers, they definitely get better. I don't love his contract, but I do like it for the most part. Welcome everyone to the stream. Really appreciate you guys all so much. We've been live for over an hour at this point in time. I will send that link one more time here for anyone who is curious about the merch. Should be able to grab that right there. If you need to, take a screenshot if you want to go look at it at a later time. But I appreciate you guys. Again, I will be live on Wednesday for the day of the draft. That is also my birthday, so I'm very excited to spend my birthday with all of you and to celebrate a year of my life spent covering the draft and watching hours and hours and hours and hours and hours of film and spending hours of time digesting, analyzing data, and doing the best I can for prospect evaluations, scouting. I was really proud of how many actual deep dives on prospects I was able to get done this year. And especially like I don't even make money on those; they're all copyrighted, and that's okay because I just love doing it, and I think you guys all enjoy those too. So I've got breakdowns on Derek Queen, Common Malawach, Ben Saraf, of course, Flag, Harper, Ace Bailey. I've got breakdowns on a bunch of guys. So Noah Senge I just had come out. So Steve here says if I'm the Sixers, I'm moving Paul George to whoever will take him and see if Embiid is playing or retiring. Sixers will be interesting. Steve, welcome to the stream. Glad to have you in here. Carter Lavelle says Kenrich Williams signed my hat. Shout out to Kenrich Williams, man. Good player. Mason says, love the content and dedication. Appreciate you, Mason. Mason's been watching the channel for a long time. Everyone, right now, before we wrap up the stream tonight, comment, how long have you been watching? Just give me a rough guess. Is it 6 months? Is it 2 years? Is it 3 years? Some of you maybe even here for longer than that. So let me know down in the comment section below. Chauncey here says, aside defense of Jrue and mentorship to Scoot, what else do you like about it? Well, I do think Jrue, like having more players who can just handle the basketball, like it's a very valuable thing. Now, obviously, like trading Simons doesn't mean you're adding more ball handling. You're kind of just replacing one with another. But Scoot is, or Jrue is just kind of different in terms of he's not like as dynamic and shifty as Simons can be, and he definitely doesn't have that like vertical pop and some of the pull up jump shooting. But he's a little bit more functional in terms of playing into physicality, traffic, and all that. So, I do think that's one of the values to this here. He kind of just brings like a little bit of a calming presence because he's going to be able to handle ball pressure. And I think, again, like I think Simons is an okay player. Definitely had some real like awesome moments for Portland. I got to see one of his like highest scoring games ever in person. He can ball. He's a very talented player, but I think Jrue just brings kind of stability, screen navigation. I think switchability. I think that's one of the things that's really for Jrue being as small as he is. He guards up the lineup so well. So I think you get a lot of matchup versatility here, and I think screen navigation and the just collection of tools that Jrue's going to bring on both ends of the floor when it comes to handling the ball, attacking closeouts, knocking down open catch and shoot threes. All the things he's done for a long time in his career. I just think he's going to be like a real kind of calm in the storm almost for Portland and how many young guys they have, having kind of a player like this to lean on. Like I know it's, again, you asked about things outside of the mentorship. I think all of his on the court traits will serve mentorship value. So it's hard to kind of distinguish those two things from each other, honestly. Bryce John says today's the first day. Well, Bryce, welcome to the stream. Welcome to the channel. So glad to have you here. Carter Lavelle says, since the trade deadline, Carter, appreciate you. Obviously, love all the support you guys show. Static's been watching for 2 years, he says. Sam Jones, he says, since the De'Aaron Fox trade. That's awesome, too, because, like, I'm glad that, like, some of you remember this even because it's going to be awesome, like, years and years from now. Like, you're going to be able to look back and say, oh, I remember when this happened. Like, I have a lot of viewers on the channel already. I have, like, I'm actually really blessed with, like, a photographic memory. So for those who don't change their kind of username and profile picture, like for the most part, I can remember you pretty well. And even as the channel's growing and obviously now like approaching 35,000 subscribers, I mean, for the most part, I see someone's name, I can tell you who they're a fan of, or, I can tell you how long roughly they've been watching the channel. And I always appreciate it. All Time Gaming says about a year. Appreciate you, man. Dublin here says 3 years. I love that profile picture there. Rachel says 1 year-ish. Rachel's always in the stream, so shout out to Rachel. B says April 2023. B's been in here for a long time. B's been watching the channel for quite a while. Bryce says, I've been watching, just subscribed today. Okay, well, glad we could sell you over on that subscription today, but so glad that you could be in here. Mute Man says several years of this, but this is true. B-Ball Mute Man's been watching for a long, long time. Steve here says, I don't know this channel, but I just came in to say we got rid of Anfernee Simons. Praise the Lord, Blazers are revived. Yes, the worst defender on the team is now turned into a very good defender. This is not real. That did not happen. Coffee and Ball says, my first day watching your channel was a trade deadline, the infamous Porzingis to Washington trade. That was like a grade A crash out. The Mavericks, I swear to God, Nico Harrison's just sitting over there watching my stream on trade deadline days and saying, how can I make this guy suffer? because every year it's something new, whether it's trading Porzingis, giving up all of our future draft picks. It usually turns into something bad. Venkata, thank you for the 2, says I would love for Clippers to get in on RJ Barrett. You can definitely help them quite a bit. Let's get some W's for Venkata in the chat. Throw some W's in there. I'm going to try and get some confetti flying in now. We will be live for just a couple more minutes. Appreciate you all so much for being in here. Yeah, this is Mason. This is like legit. Mason's probably been watching since around 3,000 followers. He's been watching for a long time. So, Mason, I really appreciate you. I know you've been around for a long time, and I know you've been supporting for the whole growth of utility sports as a general. So appreciate you. Luke says since 2023 mock drafts, man, 2020. Isn't that crazy? Like 2023 mock drafts, like you're projecting Victor Wembanyama and LaMelo, or excuse me, Brandon Miller and Scoot, and isn't that crazy now that like we're in 2025? Like it's already 2 full drafts to go. Isn't that crazy how fast time goes by? Matt says you have been my source of no BS ball analysis for about 3 years. Just don't make many streams. Go Spurs go. Well, Matt, glad you could make it to this stream today. I really appreciate you. And guys, like one thing too, if you don't leave a lot of comments, like totally understand that. By the way, like I honestly, when I watch YouTube and have in the past, I don't comment very much. But just every once in a while, just throw in a random comment. Just say something, something about your day or something about what you want your favorite team to do. I love seeing what you guys have to say, and that way I kind of know and get to know you a little bit better too. That's one thing, like I love seeing your guys' comments and being able to get to know you as good as I can, because I do feel like one of the things that makes utility sports special, especially with these live streams, and I take time out of my day to read every single comment that's ever been left on the channel over years and years and years. Like I like getting to know you guys. I like talking hoops with you. I like being able to respond to comments. I like being able to kind of give you a little bit of a platform during these streams as well. So Matt, appreciate you. Really glad you can make it to the stream today. And I'm really glad that you've enjoyed the content here for quite a while now at this point. David says, started since the last draft. So good. You should have a job in the NBA. That's what I'm hoping for. I'm taking steps in that direction. Of course, I've been a part of media, been credentialed, been really close around the NBA. It's just not quite where I want to be yet. I do want to be with the team, and I do think at some point I will be, and I got to manifest that. So we'll see. Mello says, just started watching a couple months ago. Mello, really appreciate you. I'm glad that you were able to find us here, and I'm hoping you're enjoying it. I hope you have had a great time watching. Jair says 1 year. Appreciate you, Jair. Keto says, been watching since the summer that DeJounte was traded from San Antonio. Keto is a real one here too, because this is one of my bigger misses. I thought this was going to work out so much better for Atlanta. Like the nice thing too is I've learned a lot from that. I kind of thought like DeJounte and Trey could play off of each other pretty well. This is one of the things too, like when there's such a big trade like that, and you kind of, I feel like I romanticize that bit a lot, because I thought, oh, well, Trae Young, if he changes the way that he plays, if he adjusts his style of play, if DeJounte pivots his style of play a bit, they can work together really well. That just never came to fruition. Trae Young didn't want to set ghost screens. Trae Young didn't want to run off the ball a whole bunch. DeJounte Murray didn't want to play out of the mid-post and do all these little things. And it just kind of backfired on me. So, Keto, glad you've been here for a while. Appreciate you. And that's, that trade specifically that you referenced is one that I had to learn a lot from, too. I missed on that. And, it's okay to get stuff wrong, but then you should try and learn from it. So, Daniel says, been watching since, I think, 2022. I don't know. I just remember the first video I watched of yours was a mock. Yeah, where Kofi Cockburn went to the Bulls in the first round. It was probably – what that probably was a way too early mock. Man, Kofi Cockburn. I have not thought about him in a little while. Bryce, let's not try to put fake trades in here. Curry says, do you remember what players I like at all, or should I continue to be a supporter for longer? Curry, I think you're going to need to leave a few more comments. When it gets down to individual players, that might be a little more challenging. I do have like an idea for some about players. Obviously, a lot of people like their favorite teams, and I do a better job remembering teams than players for who you guys all like and everything. But I I try my best. Sam says, you are the best in-depth NBA channel out there. Keep going, bro. I appreciate you a ton, Sam. Thanks again for tuning in. I remember your comment when the KD trade went down saying you had just woken up. So Glad you were able to catch the KD stream. Really glad you're able to catch this one as well. This one's probably a little bit more of a friendly time for you, I'm sure, at this point. Mario Alvarez says, I don't get how this deal doesn't involve something else, or at least another move is coming from Portland. Portland could make another move, but I think it's a testament to how much they wanted Jrue Holiday on their roster. Soul Train says, I don't know when I started watching. I usually watch on my TV, so I'm not usually active in chat. Totally get that, Soul. Glad you could be in here tonight. And just want to know, for everyone who, I want you guys to know too, if you don't leave comments and all this, I still really appreciate you. Obviously, I get to interact a bit more with those who leave comments and have some more of those discussions, get to show your profile up on the stream, all the things I love to do. But I do, for those who don't comment, or, maybe you're not signed in even to an account or whatever it may be, like, just know I appreciate you guys. So thank you all so much. Thank you, Soul Train, as well, for the comment today. And I totally get it too, because typing on a TV is not the easiest thing. I swear, anytime like Hulu signs me out or something, I have to go type all my stuff in. I'm like losing my mind about having to type 12 characters or something. William Field says, hey, so Jalen Green to the Hawks. Not going to happen, I don't think. I think he's going to stay with the Phoenix Suns. David Wood says, I'd like to know how long I've actually been watching. Let me know if you know. I do think I can probably try and figure it out. I'll look over on YouTube Analytics. Sometimes I can see who my public subscribers are and how long they've been subscribed for. So let me see if I can find that tonight after the stream. Tyler here says, love the channel. Been here since 2023. Go Spurs, go. Man, 2023. What a cycle for the Spurs that was, huh? I've been watching since 2019. My first comment was questioning you about the DeJounte Murray trade my Spurs made. That is a throwback. Blackhouse here says, I've been watching this guy for years. He's great. Appreciate you. CL Oracle says, hit up Matt Ishbia, bro. You can fix my team. You've got my GM scout approval. Been watching you since 22 or 23. Oracle's been watching for a long time, too. I can definitely attest to that. He's like, I swear, CL Oracle, your like username is engraved into my brain as a Phoenix Suns fan. Like, it's like as soon as I see you in any stream or I'm like, I instantly know what you're going to be asking me about, or kind of the way I want to approach that. So, Oracle, I really appreciate you, and I mean, I would love to try and fix the Suns. I think pick 10 would be a great place to start. Derek Queen, anybody? Rachel says, did you graduate from Michigan State? If not, get a degree from there, then you can work for the Suns. Well, here's the thing. I graduated from Minnesota State, so I might have to cough a little bit while I'm answering, and then maybe if he mishears me, I'll have a chance of getting that job. He might make me the head coach even. You never know. Appreciate you all so much. Thank you, everyone. David Wood says, found out that at least a quarter of my family is from Oklahoma, so I'm a new OKC fan this year, born and raised in Portland, though, so obviously a Blazer fan. Well, it's a fun year to be rooting for OKC. What a great year they had, obviously, winning the Larry O'Brien. But Portland, fun up-and-coming team, too. So, David, appreciate that. I will do my best to remember those two things together, OKC and Portland for David Wood. I'll put my mind to that. Generational Hater said no one can fix the Suns. William here says, okay, what's your pros and cons of being an NBA analyst, content creator? Nowadays, it's clickbait, but some guys have accurate information or takes. So, real talk, like, nice thing, we've got people who are just, you guys are hanging out now. We're an hour, 20 minutes into the stream, 550 people still watching, which is awesome. I think first of all, one of the hardest things is consistency. This is where, like, having great viewers and supportive comments and all that stuff actually goes a long way, because it motivates you. It helps, your external motivation of, knowing that people enjoy your work and that your work isn't being taken for granted or isn't important to others. Like, I do think that's one of the hardest things. And, especially early, like when I first started the channel and had 1,000 subscribers, like I didn't have a lot of legitimacy to people. Like the comments have drastically shifted as I've grown and gotten bigger. And part of that too is the amount of work I put in to make sure that I'm accurate in informing. But I do think, you're right. Like I think one of the biggest things for me, I'm not going to call out anybody on YouTube because I don't want to stir up any drama there, but just know that this applies to them a bit too, certain ones. But when you see ESPN and it's player rankings and not real analysis, they don't talk about ghost screens, they don't talk about Spain action, they don't talk about flex action, they don't talk about horns action. They don't talk about delay action. They don't talk about this. They don't talk about that. They don't talk about all of these things. It's really like disappointing to me because not only obviously I can cover all the trades, I know all the salary cap mechanisms, I know all of that stuff, and I understand how important player movement is, and of course that is a pretty central part to the coverage. But in the heart of all of that is the analysis on how players fit with each other, the kind of functionality they provide to offenses and defenses, all of that stuff. And I feel like ESPN and I feel like other YouTube channels don't encompass all of that. And I think, that's to your point on clickbait, like, people get famous by doing player rankings. It's not real analysis, in my opinion. So that's probably the one thing I struggle with the most is, you look at other people who are gaining followers more quickly, but they're posting content that I myself would not want to post because I don't think it's legitimate analysis. And I think, it's obviously one of the hard things about it because you see other people finding success, and I don't want to take away success from anybody else. I'm not here to make anyone feel bad about themselves, but it's hard when certain kind of content I don't think is legitimately analysis based gets a lot of views and success. It's you look at it and say, well, why am I not doing that? But it's because I value real analysis. Like, I mean, look at the length of my mock drafts compared to other mock drafts on YouTube. Mine are all an hour and 15 minutes long plus. Everyone else's is 25 minutes. And the reason for that is I can't help but break down 3 things I love about every single player, and every single player I talk about ends up turning into a 3 or 4 minute segment. So over the course of 30 picks, you get a 90-minute video. And I think that's what separates me. But at times it's challenging because you see other people having success doing less, and that's honestly, like, I haven't really talked about this before, but that is something that is frustrating at times. But at the same time, I don't want to take away from anybody else. I'm not here to take food out of anyone's mouth, but I think it's a very insightful question, William, and that's like my honest answer on it. So, Agapito here, one of the members in the Discord, by the way. So if you aren't in the Discord right now, which I know some of you definitely aren't, we got 500 awesome people watching right now. Go join the Discord. Link is in the description for that. Agapito is one of the super active members in there, a huge part of some of the huge events that we do. Of course, pioneered the mock draft video on the channel for the Portland Trailblazers and the Brooklyn Nets in that one. And Agapito here says there was something that we're missing from this deal because if not, Portland is stuck with Grant and Holiday's salaries for 3 years. Well, Agapito, they still have the flexibility to maybe trade pick 11 with Jeremy Grant to go get somebody else like a Cam Johnson. That's a possibility. I'm not sure if Portland actually does that, but I think all things considered, Jrue does make them quite a bit better at this point. Generational Hater says utility does try to be accurate and informing. I appreciate you saying that. Vincent here. Vincent, a big-time Blazers fan, says Blazers will trade Jeremy for somebody with 2 years left on his deal to line up with Scoot. I definitely think that's a great point when you look at like rookie extension numbers. Shaedon Sharpe is nearing his rookie extension coming up here rather quickly, and then also Scoot Henderson just a few years left on his rookie deal, like Vincent's pointing out. I think this is one of the really smart things. Like when you get ahead on this stuff, this is one of the things. Like if you go back to Nico Harrison's first summer with the Mavericks, this is when I started to really doubt him. It was the summer right before Luka's next contract was going to kick in. So it was the final year of his rookie deal, last chance to go out and add players to your roster. DeMar DeRozan was a free agent. They had Porzingis locked down, of course, already. And the Mavericks actually had pathways to cap space, and instead they signed Reggie Bullock, Sterling Brown, and extended Tim Hardaway Jr. on a contract that they later had to trade with a draft pick to get out of. So with all of that in mind, like lining up with your young players' rookie deals and future extensions is really important. I thought the Mavericks significantly missed out on that opportunity. And then they didn't keep Brunson afterward, too. There was a lot of mistakes in Dallas, so I think Vincent bringing this up is a really great point. CL Oracle here says the fact you read and dive into all of our comments is amazing, man. You deserve all the love followers you get. Fantastic channel. Appreciate you, Oracle. Especially like streams like today. Obviously, like had a lot of fun talking about the deal to begin with. But I mean, you guys are just awesome for hanging out for as long as you have, and I really appreciate it. It's kind of nice, like having a little bit of this like downtime to just talk, relax, catch up with you guys a little bit, spend some time reading your comments and just giving you my honest thoughts on stuff and hearing what you guys have to say. So Really appreciate you, Oracle, and appreciate everyone watching. Josh here says, hope my pals can grab Malu watching Clayton. Definitely think that's a real possibility. Would recommend checking out my mock today. I'll spoil the first pick for you. I have them getting Malu watch. The second pick isn't Walter Clayton, but it is a guard, so I'd go check that out. Fade Silk says, what do you think about the East next year for the playoffs? Go Pistons. The East is going to be open. Cleveland probably should be considered the favorite at this point, but New York's going to be really good again. I think, that it's going to be I still think next year's going to be a fun playoffs as well. The league is so talented right now, and it's a matchup-driven sport, which is exactly what you want. Agapito here says, also Jrue is an amazing locker room get. He 100% is a great teammate, very valuable in that regard. Imagine the defensive lineups we can run out: Jrue, Matisse, Denny. Like, that's honestly ridiculous. Like, your guys' defense is going to be so fun. Utility is very informative and optimistic and new NBA viewer friendly. I feel like that's why I enjoy this channel and you communicate with your fan base. Appreciate you, Curry. Always love having your comments, especially in these live streams. So thanks for all the support, and I'm glad you're enjoying the content here. Roy says, will the Pacers get any salary cap exceptions for the Hallie injury? Yes, they will get a disabled player exception. I'd be pretty certain of that, Roy. Especially given the news that he did definitively tear his Achilles, like I think almost everyone assumed he did. And that disabled player exception, I think, will be worth up to $12 million. So that actually is a pretty meaningful number for them, depending on what that Miles Turner contract comes in at this summer. But definitely very valuable. Yeah, film study on ESPN impossible. That's, a great point. Dublin says, you do you, Sheldon. Your work speaks for itself. Appreciate you, Dublin. I didn't say that, Josh, but Matt C says, I'm constantly disappointed in media analysis, especially coming from former players. Feel like they're told not to overwhelm the fans with actual sports knowledge. And see, that's the sad thing is, like, you watch football games, like, people are going to talk about cover two, and they're going to talk about, oh, you can throw it down the seam, or, hey, I know this cornerback's going to do this on this kind of route. Like, that's the kind of stuff NBA analysis needs. But I think, honestly, too much of the media is lazy, honestly. Generational Hater says, how do you feel about advanced RAPM based advanced stats compared to raw plus minus stats? Well, so here's the thing. Every single stat you can ever find, it exists for a reason. Someone came up with that stat or started tracking that stat for a reason. There is value in every single piece of data you can find. The issue that I mostly run into with people who post about RAPM all the time is that they think, oh, this is the one-stop shop. This is everything you need to know about basketball. And a lot of analytics-based scouting, especially, centers around, oh, well, this guy has a good RAPM, or he has this, that, or the other thing from an analytics standpoint, so all the other stuff doesn't matter. I think that every single time you look at any data, whether it's points per game, something simple like that, or true shooting percentage, or effective field goal percentage, or RAPM, or net rating, or plus minus, or steal rate, or free throw rate, whatever it is, you need to all take it with context. Why is this happening? Watch the film to support that. Is it an outlier? Is it something you didn't expect? Is it something that you actually did notice when watching film? It helps educate you. You just can't use one analytic to base your entire analysis around. So I like RAPM. I think it's useful. I think it's definitely, it gives good insight. I just don't think it's a one-stop shop for everything. Like, for example, I don't think Jaylen Brown's not a good player because RAPM says so. Like, he won a finals MVP. I watched him eviscerate my favorite team, the Mavericks, in the finals. Like, we didn't have any answer for Jaylen Brown in games 1, 2, and 3 of that series. So, like, and he locked up Luka Doncic to a decent extent in that series as well. So, like, and RAPM doesn't show that, right? Like, RAPM shows other stuff and is valuable, but it's not perfect. So, B-Ball Mute Man says, feel proud of your work. It's really good and informs a lot of us fans. Appreciate that, Mute Man. That's the thing too, is I'm always proud of my work. It's just, like, I don't want to, I hope what I said earlier doesn't come across like I'm not proud of everything I post. I put a lot of effort and time into and a lot of thought into. I'm very proud of everything I put up on YouTube. Sam Jonesy here says, yeah, that's what we love, long, in-depth videos to learn about prospects, for instance. Appreciate that, Sam. Curry says, hard work always pays off, brother. So I know you'll be very successful with what you do. I feel like I'm, like, getting close, right? Like, I'm on the brink of things. I've got some exciting stuff coming up too. Some analytic stuff myself, actually. I'll give you a little bit more of a spoiler there. B says, I just went back and watched the 2022 trade deadline stream where KP got traded to get a good laugh. That's always a good time. That is it's a good time. I was not happy. And the fact that he ended up winning a finals against us a few years later just hurts my heart all the more. Rachel says, I honestly only watch channels that interact with viewers and provide real analysis. That way most people in the chat are smart, not the typical Lakers should trade Rui for Giannis comments. Yeah, that is honestly NBA Twitter in a nutshell. A bit. Dylan wants to know if I think the Warriors will make any moves this offseason. Yes, I think Jonathan Kuminga is going to be the real key to that for them. Where do I think a realistic finish for the Raptors is next year? Well, so the injuries and this offseason is going to shake a lot of things up. We'll see what Boston trades away. We'll see how Indiana looks to build without Halliburton. I think they'll be probably a playoff team. At worst, a play-in team. They're going to be anywhere from probably 6 to 9, 6 to 10. But, yeah. David says, would you rather work in an NBA front office or as a screen analyst? Probably, well, not probably, definitely in an NBA front office. Now, I would love to be a screen analyst. I've color commentated some games as like an actual game analyst at the high school level. I've coached high school basketball. Of course, spent time as a media member covering the NBA. I've been credentialed for NBA stuff quite a bit, but I do want to work in the NBA around a team. So that's what I'm looking for. William says, loving the work and it shows, wishing you well. Kobe White for 2 picks. They break my heart every time. I'm a Chicago diehard fan. Like, did he walk? Nowadays, it's likability than actual work. William, appreciate you. Glad you guys have been able to stop in here. Coffee and Ball says, I always wonder how much do these people love basketball and why should I listen to them with you? I don't have those questions. You grind. Respect your work, bro. Appreciate you a ton, Coffee and Ball. It's honestly that's one of the things I really loved hearing recently too. I feel like over the last couple of weeks, I've gotten a lot of comments, kind of people iterating to me and reiterating that they can tell how much I like hoops and how much I like basketball by my content. And that actually means a lot to me. Like, I take everything I do very seriously, and it, even with how much work goes into it and how much time, and, there's certain days where I'm like, hey, I've got to get up and work on stuff. And, it's not easy every day, but it fuels me because it's basketball and I love it. And it's been really nice the last few weeks with just some of the awesome stuff that I've been able to hear from the comments and stuff. And honestly, in a lot of ways, you guys help fuel me as well. So I'm very thankful for everybody. Luke here says, can't explain how much more exciting it is to hear all the flag praise after my favorite team won the lotto. Yeah, that's the one thing too. Every mock draft, I feel like I just want to spend minutes and minutes and minutes talking about Cooper Flag because I'm just so excited, right? Like, I did the same thing with Wemby before San Antonio. I did the same thing with Zachary Ristache to Atlanta. I did the same thing with the Paulo draft. Like, I like talking about the guy who's going to go first overall. He's really darn good most of the time. So, it's really, really fun. What do you think is the best scenario for us at 10? Based on my big board, it's getting Derek Queen. But I do think for Phoenix, one thing, so even though I have Derek Queen higher than Malawach on my final board, I think Malawach actually fits Phoenix a little bit better because he's a better screen setter. He presents more rim gravity. He's obviously bigger, a better rim protector. So I do think if Phoenix found a way to move up from 10 and 29 together, to get up to maybe pick 7 to get Malawach, I would be highly interested in that possible outcome for them. They have now 5 second-round picks additionally after the Durant trade. So do they have some move-up optionality for Malawach? Maybe. Now, I do like Derek Queen a ton. If they took Derek Queen at 10, I would love it. If they took someone like Carter Bryant at 10, I would understand it. If they took Noah Senge at 10, I'd have some concerns, but I'd understand it because you're getting a defensive-minded, rangy prospect who would be really fun next to Ryan Dunn. I think 10's a great spot. The one thing I don't want to see, and even though I like him as a player, the Suns can't afford to draft Jace Richardson. They would just be too little. The Michigan State stuff, that's a no-go for me. You can't do it. That's the one thing I would say I don't want to see. Even though I like Jace Richardson, I think he's a really solid player, really good young player. I think he's going to have a successful NBA career. I don't think it should be in Phoenix because of how small they are. That's the one thing I think. I think Malawach or Queen are really the best case outcomes, though, for the Suns. Agapito says, the more I think of this for the Blazers, I like it more. Simons wasn't going to resign for less of that money. And also Jrue's a hell of a player, even though he is old. So we'll see. Keep up the work. See, Agapito, that's exactly how I feel, too. Like, you just sit and think about it. You traded one of your worst defenders if not your worst defender, into one of your best defenders. I think like they got a lot better tonight, a lot better. Arda says, "What do you think, Jrue, and future first for RJ, which Portland is high on?" I think Drew's going to be staying in Portland. Maybe something around Grant in a future pick, maybe pick 11. But I wouldn't be trading for RJ if I was Portland. Rachel says, "I've heard in-person scouting can really mess up your perception if a guy moves well or is physically impressive but struggles with processing." I don't know. Like, I mean, so this is the thing. It kind of depends too, because like, if you spend a lot of time watching, like from like broadcast view or whatever, like I understand that perspective. But for me, like I've spent time around basketball so much as like a coach, and I was, credentialed, so I was sitting courtside and doing all this, all that for NBA games. Like when you're there enough and you get used to it, you get accustomed to watching things. Like seeing a guy move well is impressive, but you also like as long as you're watching the game and paying attention and being attentive to detail, you can still see the processing in person. Like a fun example, I got to see actually Bryce Lindsey play this year. One of the better transfers, in my opinion. He transferred to Villanova with former Maryland coach Kevin Willard, now there with the Villanova Wildcats. And I think, I got to watch Lindsey play for JMU, shot the ball really well this year for the Dukes as a redshirt transfer freshman for them. Now going into his transfer sophomore redshirt season, like his processing stood out to me in a big way watching him play. Like you could tell he was the best player on the court at the game I was at. So it's because he can process, he can handle and keep his eyes up and actually make reads against ball pressure. And, I think as long as you're watching for it and trying to be attentive to all of the details that are there for you, you can still see a lot of that stuff. You just have to really know what you're doing. I do think it can be challenging. That's why, the nice thing is if you're at a game you watch in person, you can always watch it back later on a stream backward, like if you record it or, have ways to find it. So that's what I think. Stanek says, "Just analyze the Bay Magic trade. I feel like those 4 first-round picks could be used to get someone available in the future. Trade, Joel, etc. Definitely a possibility. The Grizzlies have a lot of trade flexibility." Agapito says, "I get what you're saying because I went to watch Hugo Gonzalez courtside twice just to see future prospects, and Hugo looked great, and I'm super high on him. But seeing everybody, I might be wrong." Well, Agapito, here's the thing too. So this is the hard thing about the draft, like, and especially with where the NBA is now. Like, I don't have Hugo Gonzalez in my top 30 this year. Hugo Gonzalez is so good at basketball, man. Like, the draft, like, it's loaded every year. There's so many good players, and the NBA is in such a great spot. The depth in the league has never been better. These guys, it's no longer like all of a sudden, like, I guess this is a possible career for me, like it was for guys in the 60s and 70s. Like, these are players who have been training and playing EYBL, AAU, high school, middle school. Like they've literally been spending their whole life gearing up to being professional players. Like this is one of the things that, like honestly, like it's an underrated aspect of how the sport has developed because of how much effort and time's gone into prospect development and player development. And, being the 36th best prospect today is probably like being the 12th best prospect 20 years ago. And I catch a little bit of flack saying that, but it's kind of the reality. The depth, the sheer number of players playing the sport, it's all increased. The international game has caught up in a big way. You look at what the Dream Team kind of did leading that. I think that's a big reason why. And then you also had some icons along the way. Manu Ginobili, Dirk Nowitzki for Germany. Obviously the Gasals for Spain, Ricky Rubio for Spain. There's all of these guys. Yugoslavia had, obviously like Drazen Petrovic, a great example of that. Like the league is at an all-time high. And, a guy like Hugo Gonzalez is really good. And if he didn't have shooting concerns, he would have probably been top 20 on my board because I buy a lot of the other stuff. But for me, the one concern I have is, especially in the NBA, you got to be able to shoot to provide real value, especially come playoff time, in my opinion. That's the kind of the swing skill right now for Hugo. But if he ends up becoming an elite shooter or at least a respectable shooter, this guy's going to be good. And I still think there's a lot of value. My fiance did try to get me to watch Love Island. I had her watch Love Island in a different room because I said, nope, we are watching the NBA Finals tonight. True Sports says, what do you think Portland could do next? Get bench guard IMO, Grayson Allen, Malik Monk, or sign Luke Kennard. I would like Kennard for them as a shooter. Agapito says, I've been telling the Discord for months that Hugo is going to be a steal. He was able to crack the rotation from Madrid along NBA talents like Campazzo or Hazonia, so there is something there. He's good. I mean, he's like a big, solid processor. Like, there's a lot of value to work with for sure. Scale Oracle says, crazy take, Orlando Magic versus Cavs Eastern Conference Finals next year. East is still wide open. I think there's a good chance of that. Honestly, Scale Oracle, you should like grab this screenshot right now with the little date on it or something and tweet it so that you can come back to this, because I think there's a very good chance of that. Curry says W utility for that. Same thing happened to me too. I said we could watch that another day. Well, so this is the thing. I was actually devastated. I was watching it with my fiance. I get like all into it. I'm not gonna lie. I love Love Island. It's a great show. And then I was working on something, and then all of a sudden she was watching a few episodes without me. I said, "What the heck is this? What are you doing?" Yeah, no, I told her, nope, I've got to watch the Thunder and Pacers play Game 7. No Love Jones says Thibault has been linked to a reunion with Doc Rivers. Something with Pat Connaughton's contract could work there, but I think that would probably be a 3-team trade if something were to fully materialize. Agapito says there's a lot of differences between the West and East, but I think it will balance some time. I think some of that's overstated too. Like, East was pretty darn good this year, and for someone like the Thunder dominated the West for the most part, and the Pacers, who did not have the best record in the East, took them to 7 games. I think there is a lot of parity in the league. I think people overrate the differences between the West and East. The West has some highly recognizable names, but let's be completely honest about it. Was Phoenix any good this year? No. Look at Memphis. They were the 8th seed. They won 48 games, this and the other thing. Did you see the quality difference between them and OKC? Like, we need to stop sleeping on some of these East teams. Like, Indiana put up such a good fight. They were much better than a majority of the West teams that OKC had to face to get to the finals. They were better than Minnesota, who made the conference finals in the West. They were way better than Memphis, better than the Clippers. You could argue they were better than the Nuggets, which I would definitely believe myself. Like, it definitely can get you hooked. Appreciate you guys all so much. I'm glad we were able to spend over an hour and a half just chatting up. Obviously, the Jrue Holiday trade was a big one tonight. Just to recap again quick, at the end here, Celtics have traded Jrue Holiday to the Blazers for Anfernee Simons' 2 second-round picks. I'll give my trade grades one more time, too, for anyone tuning in. Hopefully you guys did enjoy the stream. Obviously, started off with some discussion around this, but also just kind of turned into a fun little chat stream, which I loved as well. So appreciate you guys. I will be wrapping up the stream here. I'm going to try and head to bed and get some rest so that I'm ready for draft night this week. But thanks, everyone. And we'll catch you in the very next Utility Sports video.